Hi, Justin Tucker again, plowing forward on this video tutorial series about a Drupal 7 platform that can deal with conventions and memberships. So in the last video we talked about some panels and kind of what this module does. This is a very, very deep rabbit hole. I just briefly touched on it a little bit earlier. These are other system paths that you can basically hijack and use, which I think we will before this is all said and done. But this gives us the ability to say, okay, here's a variant for the registration event layout. Maybe I want to add a new variant for when a user is on a speaker page. We want the speaker page to be laid out a very specific way. Okay, and this is one way to achieve that effect. But what we're going to now dive into is a kind of another maybe advanced topic into views. This is a big shift. Most of the other videos we were really just creating the shells of content types, product types, line item types, taxonomies, and linking all those things together. Now we've actually connected the idea that we have a main registration. We've got these links that have a mechanism in them that makes them aware they belong to this page, they belong to this 2018 annual conference. And we've created two items from these links on this page, and when you do that, they understand they belong to that page. But the question is, where do these go? We see them here in our master list. One was a photo gallery, the other was information about hotel and lodging. But where does this show on this page? So this now gets into the area of views. Okay, and views is basically a query builder. It's a database query builder interface is what it is. Views is incredibly powerful and is one of those things like the matrix. You just got to see it and get used to it that way. There's videos on it. You're going to see a video right now about it. But basically, this is an interface that allows you to construct SQL queries. And in fact, with that being said, let me go in here. Actually, no, we'll just leave this. We'll just leave this basic and default. So we already have some system views that were created when we installed Commerce, like orders and things like that. These are paths for them. These are admin paths that will basically give us different information. So products, for example. And Commerce uses these views. We have some other ones that are disabled, some that also would hijack certain system paths. The taxonomy term one down here is disabled. But what we're going to do is we're going to want to make a view that says, show me all pages, okay, that belong to this conference, is effectively what we're saying. So how we can start to do that. Now, in each view, you create it, you actually have this idea of different display types, which we'll get into, but probably for simplicity, I'll try to keep each view as separate as possible. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But on this view, we're going to start kind of global and large, and we're going to say just content per registration event. Let's see, is that what I want to call it? Yeah. And content of type, do we want to isolate it down by type? No, because we want to say all content. Well, let's say that. Create a page. Normally, yes, and you actually get this URL, but I like to create view content panes, and you'll see the use of those here in a second. So we actually want these to both be unchecked. Don't need to create a block, don't need to create a page. This is rather simple. We want to show content of type all, and we'll continue and edit. Now, it's going to show us all the content because that's what we asked it to do. And if we go up here, here's basically the views layout. And I'm going to kind of dive mainly into this, not explain it too much, but the reason that we see the title here is because that's the field that we have brought in as title. But what we want to see here is not all of our content. We just want to see content that references a conference, and not only do we want to see content that references a conference, we want to see content that references this conference, which I happen to know is node 1. It's the first piece of information we made. So how we do that is through contextual filters, which is in this advanced tab to the top right. And again, without getting too deep into what this is and why, basically this is the ability, or gives us the ability, let's see, referenced registration event. It allows me to say when the filter value is not available, then I want to provide the default value, and I want to do it from the content ID from the URL. Okay. If I say this and hit apply, you'll notice I get blank. That's because basically what I just said is I said show me all pages in the system that reference a registration event. And how do we know which one we're talking about? Because of the content ID from the URL. So how we can test this view is the content ID from the URL from the registration event will be 1. And if we click this, aha, there's our 2 pages. And that is the most basic connection between this field right here, reference registration event, and why it's important is because now we just got our answer. This is all the content that has been referenced to the 2018 particular event of this, okay, of well, our example. I don't want it to be limited to 10 pages. We'll say unlimited. We'll just say for now, because again, all content. If I want, and what we should do and will do, is we can add a filter in here of content type and say, okay, just show me, you know, the images or the gallery, or just show me hotel and lodging. To kind of drive this point home, I can say, hey, let's show the content type of this material. So this is a photo gallery. We know that's hotel and lodging. And maybe let's lay this out in a table. All right. And I'll go ahead and make sure title has a label. So each one of these, okay, is deep in terms of options, in terms of power, in terms of scalability, flexibility, what it does, how it works. Again, there's a lot of stuff to go into views as to the why it works. But hopefully this video can just show you quickly how it works and that it can work. So now that I've got this master display, basically what this is a master templated query saying show us all content of any type, sort by post date, show us the title, the type of content it is, and only show us if it's got a registration event field filled out and that URL, or I'm sorry, that NID, that content ID is somewhere in the URL. So now it's time to add or convert this into a content pane, and you'll notice we get a different set of options here. And again, without going too deep, use panel path. You're going to want to say yes to this. I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to say all content per registration event shows every type of content created for any given event. Okay, we'll leave this as all content. Again, we don't see any results because we didn't pretend that this is the value in the URL. We'll leave this as yes, yes, everything looks good, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, this isn't going to look pretty, it's not going to look awesome, but it will demonstrate that we've made the connections with the database and the fields. So what I've just done, let me back up here, is I've gone to my perfectly optimized annual fictitious convention, our registration event for this year, and I'm going to go in and edit the panel that I created. I'm going to go add content, and I'm going to choose view panes, and you'll see that there's the one I created, all content per registration event. And if I put that in there, what this should show is a table at the bottom of this page of the 2 pages that were created. And there it is. So again, I know this doesn't look good. I know this doesn't look correct, but what we just did is made the connection between all those content types we filled out, those fields we added, and that when we fill one of these out, and we'll just do this right now. What is this? Upload material. So download this before you come. Material type, we'll say it downloadable, and you have to download a picture of my kayak. Okay, and if we hit save on this, you'll notice it takes me back to my event, and then I have another entry. Okay, so again, I know it's not necessarily desirable to display the content that you're creating for your conference like this. For example, it'd be much nicer to show a photo gallery in a separate section with all the photos that we added, and we'll get into that, but I just wanted to kind of show you the basics and the connection between this view is what's called contextually aware, because it understands the node ID of this is 1, and so this view, which we can dive into, has been structured to where it looks for that field value referenced registration event, and we're telling it look for the content ID from the URL. Again, lots more fields here, lots more things that this can do and become and turn into, but that is the primary driver behind this list. If we go and make another registration event, let's just call this one 2017. Oh yeah, so I gotta fill that out. I don't think I need to fill out anything else. We'll just illustrate the point here that when we save this, we have a new fresh template to add stuff to, and of course it does not have any table below it because we've not filled any of these out while on this page. So none of this content, when we fill it out, has any understanding it belongs to this. However, content that we have filled out on this page does understand it belongs to it and then shows here. So in later videos we're going to be expanding on this idea to actually make a display that only shows photo galleries, and instead of a table format with title and content type, we're going to say no, let's bring in the image field and show it as a grid, for example, and then we'll be able to place that in different areas on this page using panels and in the order that we want to put it. Now again, it may come to pass we need to change the layout to get some sidebar effects and things of that nature, but for now that is hopefully kind of additionally putting things together as to how this idea would work, and more importantly be scalable in the future. So again, 2019, you'll have a fresh template, all information, you fill out these fields as needed, and it's going to add it to this here. Now the next immediate videos, I think I'm going to go into the registration product display and talk about filling that out and what that looks like, and creating a display and view for it, so that we've got the first makings of the mechanism to allow a user to engage with a form that adds something to a cart that collects all their information about their information that needs to be on their tickets. So again, if you like these videos, please subscribe. Hope to make a bunch more. If you've got any comments, questions, or feedback, feel free to reach out, and that will conclude this video. Thanks for watching.